Ave Maria, this is David Housefield with airmaria.com, and I'm here today with Deacon Joseph Aitono with the Fathers of Mercy, who is the founder of Family Vocation Ministries. Deacon, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you for the day we've had today and for inviting us and all the other religious orders that you've had here today. If you could tell us something about the Family Vocation Ministries and the Family Vocation Day that we just experienced.
Sure. Well, I created the Family Vocation Ministries about 3 years ago or so, and we've had I'm guessing about 24 of these vocation days from parish to parish, and it's designed to promote vocations to the priesthood and the religious life through sanctification of families. We invite the whole family, and we break out into specific groups, into 3 groups of men and women, and then we actually split up the men and women and educate them on the universal call to holiness first and foremost, and then catechize them about vocations to the priesthood and the religious life. We do that not only to the young adults, but to the parents, because we know the family is the seedbed of vocations. And if we educate the parents more, the more they'll support their children, their daughter and their son, so it's not so foreign to their children, and they won't be so scared to enter into the priesthood or the religious life if they think that God is calling them to that vocation. But it's a great day. It's a fun day of fun in the sense, obviously, it's a day of grace first and foremost, to give glory to God. We have the holy sacrifice of the Mass, Eucharistic adoration, confessions, the Holy Rosary, but we have talks. We eat lunch together as a family, and we network with the families here as priests and religious. And then we have a short talent show and a question and answer session just to show our human side. Nothing out of vainglory or anything like that, but it's really designed for us to be a witness to the families, to sanctify them, and then, God willing, we'll have more priests and religious in the church. So that kind of describes this day and the many days that we've had before and in the future as well.
So what's the reasoning between educating the groups independently? There are many activities that the families do together, but then also the fathers are spoken to separately, and then the mothers are spoken to separately, and the children are spoken to separately. Then they all come together again for other group activities. What's the reasoning behind that?
That's a very good question. The reason initially was because many of the young men and women, they tend to act differently when they're with their parents. And if they're with their parents, and a vocation is something very personal. Obviously, God calls you from the depths of your heart to the priesthood or the religious life, or even to married life. And your parents are someone you grew up with. I mean, they've looked out after you, and they may have their own opinion on the vocation that God is calling them to. But it's kind of, I guess, nerve-wracking to have them beside you when a priest or a religious is asking the young men and women to consider joining the priesthood and the religious life. And likewise, when we're telling the parents what to do morally at home, telling them to pray the rosary together, to eat together, and so forth and so on, their children are there, and it's just like, if they don't do it, then the children will look at them like, Father or Mother, why haven't we been doing this yet? So we don't want to embarrass them at all, but I think it really shows the independence of the vocation itself. It's a call from God. Surely the parents foster it, but they don't choose the vocation of their children. So that's why we split them up. It's good we all get together for Mass, obviously the prayer of communion of the church, for adoration and so forth, but for the talks we could keep it that way. I think it'll work out better that way. So.
Okay, very good. And with the entertainment, I had some questions about that.
Sure.
You and your brother, who is also a Father of Mercy, were breakdancing today. And if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we certainly never planned on breakdancing after we entered religious life. We were doing it when I was in 6th grade, he was in 4th grade. It's something we just did as a hobby growing up. But now that we're religious, we're just using it to kind of to advertise the event, to add some excitement. Obviously, we don't want to take it any way away from the Mass, adoration, confessions, family, the catechesis in general. But with all communities, we have to have a balance. There must be recreation. We can't always be praying 24 hours a day. We really have to have some fun, some joy, whether it's in community life, playing sports and so forth. So we present this to the families to know that we are balanced, that it's not like we cry in the corner all day like some of the movies tell us. But there's a sense of joy as long as we have our priorities straight.
I think that's important. There are a lot of misconceptions on holiness, and on what it means to be called to holiness and the sort of people that God calls.
Certainly.
And he calls people from all walks of life and from all backgrounds and people that people can identify with from everywhere. So it's a blessed thing. Well, it's a beautiful day, and I hope many vocations do come forth from it. So thank you for all of your work,
Thank you.
Deacon.
Thank you for coming. God bless you.
All right, Ave Maria.
Ave Maria.
This is David Househeel with AveMaria.com, encouraging all families to pray together for vocations, and let's all together pray for an increase of vocations in the church, for the glory of God and the vitality of the church. God bless you. Ave Maria.